Hello everybody. So today, yet again, a bit of a different video talking about Tesla, SpaceX, PURR, Hyperliquid, and by the PURR DAT, I mean the Hyperliquid DAT, the Hype DAT, and kind of a way to bet on SpaceX, a very different way to do it. So first of all, let me begin by telling you about the Hype protocol. As you know, I've covered it twice on the channel, about 2 months ago and about a month ago. The Hype protocol, what's interesting for the Hype protocol compared to, say, a Solana buys back 50% of the fees. The Hype protocol buys back 99% of the fees. 99% of the trading fees go towards token buyback. And I think because of that, it creates a perpetual buy pressure. There is always a buy pressure on the Hype token because the fees are turned into buyback. And if you look at the chart of Hyperliquid, by the way, is the 9th largest crypto by market cap. If you look at the chart of it, it's up only, and it barely fell to the bear market, right? Bitcoin is nowhere near recovered. Bitcoin is essentially at a year low. We are at the yearly low on Bitcoin. Hyperliquid, we dropped a little bit, right, during that recent weakness, but we didn't drop nearly as much as Bitcoin. And Hyperliquid is still up nicely for the year, up 41% for the year. And I believe the reason for that is because of the 99% of trading fees going towards token buyback. And you can actually chart major liquidity event. You had the Middle East crisis, which was a big liquidity event where a lot of people placed trades. Hyperliquid earned a bunch of fees. Then you had silver. Silver went through the moon. You may remember that. That earned a lot of fees for Hyperliquid, which also went into buyback. And then you had the 1010 crash. The 1010 crash actually was very beneficial to Hype, at least to the fundamentals, because a lot of that money went into the buyback. And you can see here the total number of fees since they started, like annualized fees, 1.8 billion of annualized fees. So 1.8 billion in roughly a year is going towards buyback. 1.8 billion. And then you also need to remove the 5.6 billion of value locked. So what do you have? You have a market cap of 14 billion minus 6 billion minus 1.8 billion worth of buybacks per year. That type of pressure can only lead the token to go up. And of course, why is this a SpaceX video? Why am I talking about SpaceX? Because I think SpaceX could be one of these other very major trading events for the PURR platform of Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid being a decentralized PURR platform. PURR platform are essentially options for the crypto world, essentially. But Hyperliquid, of course, lists a bunch of real-world assets, and that is a big deal. SpaceX is already listed on Hyperliquid. It's trading at $163 a share. If you look at SpaceX is, and Hyperliquid is 24/7, of course. So SpaceX is up in 24 hours 6.5%. 6.5%. Tesla is down 3.8% as I record this. So some people will say, oh, well, there's a lot of selling pressure going on to Tesla because people want to move to Tesla to SpaceX. That's what some people say. I'm not so sure about that. Note that not only you can buy SpaceX on the Hyperliquid platform, but you also can do a 5x PURR, 5 times. You have the option to buy it at 5x PURR. So you have a lot of quote-unquote degens who are going on Hyperliquid to quote-unquote degen on the SpaceX IPO quote-unquote pump. And of course, I would never do that, but I am very well aware of the effect that it does on the token of Hyperliquid, which is the Hype token. All of those fees from the added trading, all of those fees from the extra trading will go towards buying back the Hype token and making the Hype token more valuable. So this is why, actually, if you look at the performance of my pick in this sector, which is Hyperliquid Strategies, which is a DAT, they are actually up since I've owned them 31%. At one point, I was up 85% on that trade. Now I'm up 31%. But if you look at year-to-date Hyperliquid, you're up at 129%. So it's performing the way strategy used to perform, if you really think about it. That was when my first video, my video where I explained entirely my view on the PURR token is this one, PURR stock. You can look it up on the channel and see it. And by the way, they don't do much with the token. I mean, they are staked token. The tokens are staked, and they trade at roughly a 1.1 mNAV. So it's roughly flat as far as the mNAV. I don't really expect them to do much with the token. Of course, their goal as a DAT is to increase the number of token per shares. But in my view, the way I look at PURR is I look at a DAT who owns a bunch of these tokens, and these tokens, of course, I see them as going up because of the volume on the Hyperliquid platform and the buyback of the tokens. Now, some people may tell me, why wouldn't I just buy the Hype token altogether? Well, that's because I operate in a traditional world, and it's easier to buy a stock for me than it is to buy a crypto for me. Now, I will note, I haven't covered them yet, but I will note that some companies are launching Hype ETFs. So that I'm withholding my judgment on those. My guess is that they don't have very much liquidity on there, but there's going to be Hype ETF coming up, and so that's also a matter to see if you can buy them with your broker or not, and what the fees are. I personally like PURR as my play on the Hype token, which is my play on the frenzy of the SpaceX IPO, and perhaps right after the OpenAI and the Anthropic IPO, which could lead to just as much frenzy on the Hyperliquid platform, hence triggering volume, hence triggering a 99% buyback of a Hype token. So this is kind of a different way to kind of play the SpaceX IPO, Hyperliquid strategies. That is my pick. Anyways, this is not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.